As I mentioned in a recent episode, I was on vacation along the Umpqua River in southern Oregon. And while I was there, I took my Zoom H6 field recorder and did some recordings of the water. There's a productivity tie in here, so just hang with me for a little bit. I can't say enough good things about the Zoom H6. I haven't used it that extensively. It's not cheap, but the audio capture that it does is stunning. Using the modular microphones, there's two of them. They're both stereo. One's an XY, and one is a mid-side. How do they describe it here on the website? They describe it as a mid-size. They describe it as the mid-size Magic mic, and it is definitely magic. I used it to record a bluegrass recording of Cherokee Shuffle. My wife plays bluegrass banjo, and I was at a weekend festival with her this past summer, and I was sitting in the jamming circle, and I put this on the tripod in the middle of the circle and recorded a song, and it turned out really well. I'll link to all this stuff in the notes for this episode. So just go to the johnpolster.com and find this episode there, and I'll have the links for you. So I'll link to that recording I did of that song. I did a little post-treatment with Logic. Nothing too serious. A little compression, little EQ, but really not a lot. And I thought it turned out amazingly well. So I've also used the Zoom H6 with XLR inputs into two ATR 2100 Audio-Technica microphones. So sorry to geek out on audio there a little bit. This is just a really great entry-level microphone that has a USB connection to plug into your computer, and then it can also plug into more sophisticated, higher-end audio gear using what's called XLR cables. So I've done that as well. I've done 2 microphones at a time. You can do up to 4 with the H6, and then if you buy another module, you can do an additional 2, so you can have a total of 6 XLR inputs if that's of interest. So anyway, I took this thing with me, the Zoom H6, because I wanted to record some of the river noise, or whatever you want to call it, ambiance. So I find it hard to concentrate when there are loud conversations, like someone is on the phone, on a conference call, talking to their neighbor, laughing with their significant other, whatever the case may be. If I'm trying to get something done, if I'm trying to do some serious thinking, I find it hard to concentrate when people are talking nearby, which is one of the reasons I absolutely love working from home. Although recently I've started working in a co-working space, and sometimes it can get a little bit noisy there, and that's where this trick comes in handy. I've also used it in the past when I was at the public library or coffee shop, or, trying to escape the house, trying to find a place to work. I find that the sound of water, a rushing stream, or heavy rain is the best noise to block out outside sounds. Now, I've tried other things too. I've tried the Bose noise-canceling headphones. For some reason, while they did a decent job of canceling the noise around me, they made my ears feel really funny, like this weird pressure, and my ears just kind of felt weird and hurt after, with the noise cancellation on. So after trying them out from Best Buy, I returned them, within the 2-week return period, and everything was fine. Got my money back. Sometimes I use music, but I find with music, especially if you're with Pandora or Spotify, all the choices that you have, it's really easy to get distracted by, picking a different track, or if you don't like the song, you flip to, give it the thumbs down so you don't hear it again. And I just find that that's all distracting too. Also, music with words can be a distraction as well. So I just keep coming back to the ambient sound of rushing water. And I don't know what it is about rushing water, but it works the best for me. I also find sometimes that it also helps to go to sleep sometimes if Like if I'm traveling and I'm in a noisy hotel room, I've done that as well. And I got onto this idea using an app on my phone. And that's worked for the most part. But what I don't like about the app on the phone is the track I like the most has the rushing water sound, but there's this metallic banging sound that just bugs me. So all this a long-winded way to say that when I was on the Umpqua River, I brought my recorder and I thought that I would make some recordings of the water, and then I would just basically have my own customized noise blocking out noise or soundtrack, whatever you want to call it. So I'll also make these available on the webpage for this episode. There's a couple different versions. Well, I'm not sure how many I'm going to post, but at least two. One of them has some birds, very like chirping a little bit in the background, not very loudly. Birds sometimes bug me too, at least in the the apps where you can add different sounds. So pure rushing water is usually my favorite, but I was experimenting with this one recording where I let the recorder run. I parked it in a place down near the river and then just let it run for 16 minutes or so and got an interesting recording for that. So I'll make, so what I've done with these recordings is I'm going to make them, 25 or 30 minutes long, which is, the natural length of a Pomodoro. So if you work in time blocks, when the track ends, you're done with your time block. I'll make these available. One will have birds, one won't. And I just experimented recording in lots of different locations on the bank. I waded into the river near some fairly tame rapids. Got some interesting sounds there. And so yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think. Some other ideas if you're looking for ways to block out distractions using audio. I've also tried for a time Focus at Will at focusatwill.com. I didn't find it as successful or helpful as a lot of people rave about. I tried it for, off and on for a year and, trained it with what I liked and what I didn't. And I never found that it cast the magic concentration spell that people said that it did. But, it's worth a try. I think you can do some sort of free trial. It's not that expensive. I think it was like $30 a year. If you like ambient noise, another source for sounds, a great source for sounds, is freesound.org. I found lots of interesting things there. I have one friend that loves the sound of the dryer, the clothes dryer, and the clothes just kind of like banging around in it. So you could, get that. If you like the sound of a dryer, you could download that sound from freesound.org, and then you could loop it in Audacity, Logic Pro, whatever audio editor you're comfortable with. And you know what? If you're not comfortable with an audio editor, but you find a sound clip that you like and you want me to loop it for you, just send me an email and I'll be glad to do it for you. So there you go. There's the productivity tie-in with the Umpqua River ambient sound, and I guess putting some of my podcast production skills to a unique use. One other thing before we go. The new year underway. It's often a time people are starting to think or have already thought about what they want that year to look like. If you're not sure what you want it to look like, or maybe you have some ideas what you do want it to look like, but you aren't quite sure how to get there, coaching's a great option. I'm doing some coaching right now. So if you'd like to know more about that, go to johnpolster.com/coaching. Details there for a free, no obligation mini session. A mini session is an abbreviated version of a full-length coaching session. During that time, we'll explore whatever topic you want to look at and find some concrete ways to move it forward for you. Thanks for listening to The John Polster Show. Notes, links, and all that other good stuff for this episode are at johnpolster.com/podcast. If you have questions or ideas around the podcast, send those to podcast@johnpolster.com.